Morning guys, thought I would do a bit of an update on the grow tent. I'll also go through what I've done to the grow tent. It's almost fully set up now and I've got a few little changes that I'm considering making, but I'll run through a quick update first, just in case you don't have any interest in that, and then you can kind of turn off the video towards the end when I start rambling about lights and fans and things like that. So first of all, I've started moving even more plants in here. I found another one. This is a orange Cherimoya that was out in the garden that hasn't been doing very well. Put it in here and just to see if that starts to respond. The majority of the plants that I've moved into here from the garden have started responding beautifully, which you'll see in a few minutes. So the actual humidity and heat and consistent lighting and lack of wind and all of that sort of thing have really helped these plants kind of take off, and you'll be able to see that in a few minutes. So the tent is sitting at the moment 29 degrees, 69% humidity. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. By the afternoon, after the shed that this is in heats up a bit, that'll actually go up quite a bit as well. It can get up to 35. I've even seen it up to 37.5 degrees in here over the last week. But there's some ventilation fans and the plants seem to actually like those temperatures, even though it's quite hot for me. First of all, I want to do is start by giving this Cherimoya that prune that I talked about in the other video. I hope these secateurs are up to the job. I have decided I'm going to take it down to just above this leaf here, and then I'm going to take the leaf off and hope that it buds out at that kind of bud juncture underneath the leaf there. Now, Cherimoya is meant to be quite soft wood, but I'll test it up here first just to kind of make sure I'm not going to damage my stem. Alright. So that's the bulk of the Cherimoya cut done. Now I'm going to get through some of this string that I've got supporting. Whatever, just cut it and then remove it. Doing these things one hand is tricky, guys. We won't need all these stakes anymore, will I? Let's do this first. Let's take this stake out. That's another problem I had with this plant being so tall. It was so top heavy that in the wind the whole plant was becoming destabilized. So I've got all these kind of strings tied up to kind of keep it from shaking. The base was getting really loose outside, but now that I've topped it and it's in a tent where there's no wind, that's quite irrelevant, isn't it? What we got here? Okay. Now let's do our main cut. So I'm going to cut it on an angle just here. Alright, and that's our Cherimoya topped. I'm also going to take this branch back because I'm not liking where we're at, so I'm going to take it off to here. Now we have half a tree, and I'm going to take this leaf off. I read that the buds of the Cherimoya actually occur underneath the leaf petiole, and I think someone commented on one of my videos, and I don't think this is focused very well, but I'm going to take that leaf off just in case that's true. And this leaf here, I think I might take that one off as well. Yeah. That's one Cherimoya, hopefully not murdered. Look how much I took off that plant. I've got another one in the backyard that's of a similar height and with a similar problem, so we'll watch how this goes over the next couple of weeks and see how it responds to that massacre, and hopefully that will be fine. I think I will put some antiseptic on here just so that the tree doesn't get an infection whilst it's in here. So Cherimoya done. Sorry, half that video was probably out of focus and not in picture. Alright guys, I started filming an update this morning, and then as it sometimes happened, the wife came in and said, please help me with the baby, and so I got disrupted. And so now the baby's having a nap. I'm back to complete the second half of this video. Where I started was just chopping this Cherimoya down. I've since painted it nicely so that it's got an antiseptic sort of covering on the stem there, so that you won't get any diseases hopefully, or any kind of attacks by fungus. And in the process I dropped the entire can of it on the ground, coating the floor of the tent in kind of tar stuff, which is cool. I found an extra light, so we've got now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lights in here. And I said that I would, at the end of this, go through how the tent is actually set up, so that if anyone's interested in kind of the lights and the ventilation and things like that, I won't waste your time going through the update on the plants. So straight into the plants. What have we got? What has changed since I actually put these in here a week ago? And the answer is a lot. So Brazilian cherry is a really good example. All of these leaves are brand new in just a week. So this plant has put on a ton of new growth. All of these kind of reddish colored leaves. This entire stem from where my finger is all brand new growth in just a week, having moved into this tent. Similarly, the Patanga tuber next to it, this is actually just a stick for the entire year past, doing nothing. And since then we've got side branches. This entire side branch is new, this branch is new, these top leaves are new, and it's branching off in multiple places at the top. So really loving the kind of change to a more humid, warm environment. And I think in my original kind of initial update video, I said that even after a day, I was sure that these Canistel and the Mame Sapote here were putting on leaves almost visibly. And that's true. In just over a week, these leaves here were these tiny leaves in the center in that original video, and now they're kind of spread out here. All of these are 1 week's growth. They've also started sprouting all down the stem here. So loving the change of environment. And the same with the Mame Sapote. This was a week ago, a tiny little leaf in the center. This was a week ago, was a tiny little leaf. And the Mame Sapote has got an entirely new kind of branch coming off the base here as well, which will kind of develop in the next couple of weeks as well. Japoticaba, this one was looking really sick in a video the other day. This is new from where my finger is up. That's 1 week's growth. 1 week's growth up. All of the kind of fresh green leaves you can see. This is almost totally defoliated the other week ago. This Acha from Neil has got 2 huge leaves on it that are brand new in the last week. So they're doing really, really well as well. One that I found in the garden just the other day, I literally moved it in here yesterday. This is an orange Grimachama. I've decided that since everything is kind of doing so well in here, and this one was kind of hidden and not doing very well, we'll see if this kind of has the same response and starts taking off. Ice cream beans, new leaves in a week. This jackfruit, which was, I'd wondered if it was even going to survive. It was doing so poorly. It just had these kind of wrinkly, horrible leaves. It's putting on new leaf growth in the center there. These leaves in here are all new. This leaf has kind of emerged, these new shoots. And down the stem as well, we have newly shoots down here, down here, down here. So loving the new environment. You can see since the last video, even this morning, I've set up a shelf in here. I've moved some of my jacarandas in here just to get them really going, getting ready over winter. Jacarandas are quite more than marginal in Canberra. I'd be surprised if they get through, but maybe they will. And I've also started a whole bunch of chilies in there today, just because I now don't have to worry about winter coming along. Japoticaba from Neil as well, brand new leaves in a week. And this Rollinia over here has responded spectacularly. New leaves all over the plant, really kind of waking up. and down the base of that plant you can see that there's new growth coming on. So everything in this tent has responded spectacularly. I moved a dragon fruit in here 2 days ago, and I'm going to have to work out how to kind of tip this stem over because this is growing so quickly that this will be touching the roof in probably 2 days or less. So I'm going to have to bend this over. I'm not sure how to put a support in there. I really should have put a support in the pot beforehand. Now I'm going to have to retrofit something to kind of bend that dragon fruit branch over to get some dragon fruit off that. But yeah, that's a bit of an overview for you guys. It's incredible to see how quickly things grow when they're in an environment that they appreciate and they enjoy. This was an ice cream bean in my infirmary earlier, and it's just got all of these new leaves coming off, growing at a rate of knots. So in this tent at the moment, I've had the door open for a while. About 60% humidity, 29.6 degrees in here. And here I'll go into a little bit about kind of how the lights are set up, what I've actually got going on in here, and how much light and ventilation is in this tent, because there's a lot of, well, 8 lights in here now. It's quite got a lot of things in here. So over here I've actually got a lux meter. So this will show you how bright this tent actually is compared to maybe outside. And if I put this on, so that's measuring times 10 right now. Just where I'm standing here, we've got around 2,400 lux where I'm standing. There's no lights directly above me. If I was to move under a kind of a light source, you can see that moves up to around 3,600, 3,700. And if we go under one of the powerful sort of LED lights, that goes up to more like 20,000 sort of lux underneath this light. Now, even these fluorescent bulbs, if you're right next to them, they're at that kind of 23,000, 22,000 sort of lux measurement. But as you drop down, you'll notice that really quickly the amount of light drops down. And grow lights are impacted by an inverse square law, which basically means that at the very point of the light, directly at the light is coming out of the bowl in essentially a straight line. But the further you go away, every time you double the distance, the energy that the light bulb produces is reduced by about 4 times. So every time you double the distance, you decrease the amount of effective light and energy available by the bulbs by 4 times. So the further you get away, it becomes exponentially less light and energy that's available to the plants, which is why I've got so many bulbs in here. Having just a single compact fluorescent bulb like this or like these hung up isn't going to be enough. It's just not enough light it's enough light to keep them going, but it won't be enough light for them to fruit and to thrive and do their absolute best. So if we want to have an idea about what natural light is like, if I step outside and we go into kind of shaded area, it's around 12,000, 13,000 in the shade. So if that was similar to what it was right under one of my LED lights. If we were to go into a sunny spot, it's around kind of 40,000, 35,000 kind of lux in the sun, and it is a bit overcast today. It can get up high, 40, 50, 60,000 sort of lux in bright light. Now, the sunlight in outdoors is obviously limited by the amount of sun that we have during the day. So even though these bulbs put off a little bit less, and these aren't quite as bright as the actual sun, the plants do get hours worth more of exposures. At the moment, these are set up on a timer where they have got light from around 6 a.m. every day to around 11 p.m. every night. So this entire time they're getting light, and that means it kind of makes up for the difference for outdoors. The light is also extremely constant, and it's in waveforms that apparently the plants can actually use more effectively, although sun is obviously the very, very best choice. But these LEDs, for instance, you can see the number of different colors of the bulbs on there. That's to put off different lights, including UV lights, some infrared lights, to give the plants what they need. Now, the more bulbs we put in here, we have a different problem. The problem being that every single bulb that you add to the tent increases the heat that the tent will get up to, and there is a point where the plants will all just die. Now, I have a vent in here. This is a fan that's venting straight out of the tent, and that's pumping all day. And outside the tent, if I'm to put my hand there, I can feel the air coming out of that and blowing quite warm compared to what's inside the tent. Now each one of these globes in here, whether LED or fluorescent globes, they are becoming more and more efficient, the LED globes in particular, where they use less energy and they produce less heat compared to some of the older types. So back in the day, and a grow tent like this, let's be honest, would be used by people that are growing weed and things like that. They want to get the maximum light in to support the amount of yields they're going to get off their plant, and they would actually use something like this. And this is an old HPS, high pressure sodium globe. It's in a heat tube. It has the globe inside the heat tube, and I would duct this. I used to start seedlings like capsicums and chilies in the winter time using this exact globe. And this has its own fan on it. So these grow so hot that just running this by itself, you would need to duct air from outside across the globe and out to tent just so it doesn't get too hot. Now these globes produce a hell of a lot more light than an LED globe or a fluorescent globe, but you've got those trade-offs. You're going to spend more money on your kind of electricity, you're going to spend more money on venting the property, like so the globe itself will use more electricity. Using the ventilation in there with an additional fan is going to use more electricity. Just keeping the tent cooler is going to use more electricity, but the amount of light that comes off it exceeds probably all four of these other globes. So 1, 2, 3 of these globes could be replaced with that one HPS light. The other annoying things about those lights is they have a ballast that you have to use, which is annoying. So there's pros and cons to everything. I may still actually put that in here. I'm going to, if I put it in here, I'll replace this globe and probably this globe, and I'll hang that in that position there so that all of this kind of unused space at the moment is serviced by that sodium globe. And they do take a bit of time to warm up. It probably didn't look that fancy before, but already now you can see that it's starting to warm up a bit. And in the next couple of minutes, by the time I finish this video, it'll be even more bright still. So I think I am considering putting that in here. I'm worried as well. I just found this extra globe in the day. So most of these globes, it's like when I was saying before about the HPS, I had these left over from when I used to start seedlings in winter time, so that by spring, the time I could put it in the garden and put the plants out and get all my tomatoes a good 2-month head start, they would be all lush and growing. All of these globes that I've got here are left over from that time. So I had them all kind of sitting here, and I've added them to the tent, and as I've added them, the tent's just been creeping up in heat a little bit more. So even now we're speaking, we've gone up another ½ degree. It's now 30.2 degrees in here, and without this extra globe added today, this tent has actually already got it up to 38 degrees on one of the hotter days we've had recently. During the winter time, obviously that's a great thing because the plants will be perfectly comfortable as the season goes on, and they'll continue to grow as completely lush, and they'll probably in 6 months have filled this entire tent to the roof, I would imagine, which will be a different problem in itself. But at the moment it could be just still a little bit too warm just coming out of summer. I don't know. So this bulb brighter again. You can start it starting to oscillate as well, so the frequency of the globe in there and the camera kind of gives it this pulsating sort of sensation, and that will kind of still get warmer and warmer and hotter as it heats up over the next 10 minutes. So I'll put that in there maybe, and I'll do another video just showing comparison between the LEDs and the CFLs compared to maybe that sodium globe and how the plants react. I'll keep you updated on how the Cherimoya is going now that it's been beheaded, and maybe how this Cherimoya, and if you keep a good eye on it, how poorly it's doing now, and see how it reacts in the next kind of couple of weeks. I have a real confidence. I'm really excited about this because I feel like this is actually going to result in me getting some fruits off of these plants. It's going to give me some more challenges in keeping them small enough to be in this tent, If I move them from this tent, let's say even next year, when the season warms up again and I take these plants and put them back outside, it'll be such a shock going from this humid, warm tent into the outdoors that they might even just die from the shock after they've been living in this is almost a perfect tropical environment at the moment. So I don't know what I'm going to do in the future when they get really, really big. Maybe I'll selectively move some out or slowly acclimatize them. I don't know. But at least for the meantime, I'm happy that we got this. I'm excited to get the chance to try some of these fruits finally, maybe, if I'm lucky. And in the longer term future, I've got bigger plans for how I can keep this going on a larger scale. But that's a story for another time, many, many, many months down the track. Anyway, guys, thanks as always for watching. Any questions, you know where to write the comments. See you later.